Okay, so we're live. It's a Sunday morning. I got up far too early this morning. Generally happens this time of year because there's stuff to do. It's busy. It's September. A lot of people who work in anywhere really. Kids go back to school. It's almost like it's like a brand new year, and here we are. So I'm up early on a Sunday, and then of course I put on my Sunday outfit, and I get up early so I can do the work. Sort of for the week ahead, I'll do like a few hours and then I'll, dig into some coffee and then watch football because that's what I do, I guess. And I put on my Buffalo Bill shirt and my Buffalo Bill sweatpants and 800 other things. Anyway, that's my Sunday. That's why I get up early on a Sunday. Now, normally I would be, maybe taking in a yoga class this morning. Not doing that. Traveled recently, so probably not a wise idea to be venturing out into the public and spreading disease as the pandemic world sort of is upon us now. So in fact, I'm staying at home to stay away from the rest of you people. Boy, it's an Ask Me Anything. And here's Kyle Hutchinson. He's like, didn't even get through the intro and I've already got a question. So Kyle is asking, good morning. What are your thoughts on talk radio in the US and Canada? They are completely different. And in the U.S., I'll speak to the U.S. right now. Wow, what a tire fire that is. Talk radio. Well, it used to be a two-way conversation. It's just every station or every show has its point and their point of view, and they just jam it home. Doesn't make for very good listening. And, then you sort of struggle with how much politics you're going to talk about. Now, there is an election coming up. And so it's just going to be, a very busy 2 months. And you know what? The ratings are going to be good. A lot of people are going to want to listen and chime in and see, I kind of worry about talk radio if Joe Biden wins, talk radio is going to take it on the chin, not because of anything that they necessarily did, except they did do it. They created this sort of this outlet where it's a very one-sided conversation, and America is not going to be moving into a one-sided conversation if Joe Biden is elected. You get 4 more years of Trump, you get 4 more years of this. So that's where talk radio is going in the United States. And I'm shaking my head a little bit because I think the future. I'm a little bit worried about the future of it. I think a lot of the left talk has shifted to podcasts, and I think some of the right-wing talk has remained on radio. And if you look at both those bases, that's where those people have gone to. This is another question here. This is a great question. I have not seen this. Have you seen the privacy disclosure feature in Overcast beta, and what do I think? I'm trying to actually figure out how to sign up for Overcast beta. I actually did some looking around. So if anybody has that, has information on how to do that. So here's a story with Overcast. I got Apple CarPlay. So I said, maybe I'll just stop with Overcast and I'll just work with the Apple app. And I don't like the Apple app, the purple app on your phone, because what happens when you listen to podcasts is it just gives you, I like to have my podcasts in chronological order, the way they're released, and I have to go to the bottom and then hit episodes now, and away we go. And thank you, by the way, for pointing out that you can't sign up for this. So anyway, I went back immediately when I heard this. I thought this is such a great piece of that Marco has done with the Overcast app, that they're going to disclose privacy for every podcast. So when you listen to a podcast, you will know where that information is going and who is going to be, you doing what with it. That's pretty good to know. I'm looking forward to it. So I deleted the Overcast app and then I just put it all back. So I'm sticking with it. And as a result, I don't need to spend it's $10 US, I think $12 Canadian. I don't need that, but I'm probably going to buy it because I'm a big supporter of privacy when it comes to podcasting. And Lorna, good morning, Lorna in Maine. Media is dividing us, and we figured that out years ago with wrestling, is that if you can get good guy, bad guy, face, heel, that sort of thing, if you can create that sort of polarization, it just results in ratings. And so I might suggest that if you need a news perspective, go ahead, listen to your favorite commercial station, but you may also want to take a little perspective from the public one as well. And if you can sort of balance the two and find the truth somewhere in the middle, it lies somewhere in there. Okay, so and Lauren asked another question about cases of COVID in Canada, because Lauren is in Maine, I'm in Canada. No, cases are they're actually sort of just coming up a little bit, but I use Manitoba as a great example. So Manitoba is center of Canada and it's beside North Dakota. Manitoba has twice the population of North Dakota and half the COVID cases. And I think that's a fair comparison between the two countries right now. But that doesn't mean that Canada is any better off. It's a little better off, but we've got cases that are moving up a little bit because of some people getting together when they shouldn't. You shouldn't be getting together, breathing the same air. And I'm a little bit worried about winter because, if you have a gathering and it's inside and it's winter, yeah, you're going to watch some cases go up because of that. So keep it outside. We're going to spend our winter outside, which I know is very, very, very brave of everybody. But in Ottawa, great example is Ottawa. The mayor said we're going to continue with outdoor eating until December 31st. Yeah, I know we're going to be eating with winter in jackets, and Ottawa is probably one of the worst places on the planet for winter, but there we go. So thanks a lot for all those questions so far. Keep them coming in the comments box if you can. I'm actually streaming this morning, I think on Twitter as well. And this is the first time I've actually used it's Periscope that does this stuff. So I'm not sure if there's any comments on there. I won't be able to see them, but I will be able to see them, I believe, on Facebook and as well on YouTube. I got my Buffalo Bills shirt on this morning. I'm kind of excited about the Bills coming back. They had a playoff game last year, and they lost it in overtime. And Josh Allen he got poopy pants and was throwing the ball in funny places. But it's the Bills, man. It's the Bills. Keep the questions coming. So other things that are going on, by the way, aside from me trying to figure out how to listen to podcasts in my car, I can use the Overcast app, but I also like the Purple app. I wanted the artwork on the screen. I shouldn't be looking at the screen when I'm driving anyway, so I won't get involved with all that stuff. Actually, and a great example, by the way, because we were just talking about COVID, I just got a message from my son Andrew, who is in New Brunswick. So he went from Manitoba to New Brunswick, which is right beside you, Lorna. Obviously, you know that. But he's not far from where you are. But it's a 14-day quarantine just to go between, just from Manitoba to New Brunswick. So he's sitting inside for 14 days. Imagine spending your first 14 days of your graduating year of university having to sit inside for 2 weeks. I don't know if it's good or bad, but when he came back from New Brunswick, I made him sit in his room for 14 days. And then the 14 days was up. I said, "Oh, you can come out." And he's like, no, he stayed there for the summer aside from working. Lorna does ask a question about boycotting sports. Yeah, I got some thoughts. Nobody cares. If you go out and boycott whatever, go boycott whatever. Boycotts don't work. It's not a thing. It's something you say. If you're boycotting something you don't like it to begin with, it doesn't really affect much. I know ratings are down, but they're not down because of boycotts. Ratings are down generally because of about 9 or 10 different reasons. We could start with the pandemic, schools back in, more sports competition on TV. The NFL had no preseason. It just sort of landed and showed up. There's hockey and basketball that are in the throes of their thing. They've had too much. So yeah, it's going to be down a little bit, but it's also the viewing experience a little bit weird. There's no crowd. I miss the crowd. I do. I miss the crowd. And then, and the face masks, when you see like Andy Reid with the shield and you see face masks, it's a gentle reminder that there's something going on the planet. And it makes me feel uneasy even when I'm watching. So the viewing experience is twisted a little bit. It doesn't feel completely the same. Descript is something, and by the way, the question here is, have you seen Descript's new overdub feature? No. And yes, I have actually. So Descript came to me from Allison Shane. She turned me on to this on day one. I tried it out. I didn't like it. I don't like playing with the words. So what Descript is it will transcribe your audio, give you the words, and then you can go in and just cut the words out manually, and then your audio changes as well. It's a great feature. Great stuff, because a lot of people are a little bit uncomfortable doing, the audio. They just want to take out the words, which is very cool. However, this is me in the ears. I want to hear it. When I make a change, I want to hear it. Now you're also talking about the overdub feature. The overdub feature is going to be, I mean, it's dangerous because somebody could go in, and I'm not going to give anybody ideas, but go ahead. Somebody's going to go into one of my podcasts and can pretty much alter the audio to the point where I'm going to be saying things that I don't say or mean, and repurpose it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. Most of that technology already exists. It's just sort of commercially available to everybody who can go in and make changes to whatnot. We've already seen some piracy in podcasts. Some people who have been copying shows and putting them up and trying to monetize with that stuff. Yeah, pirate's gonna pirate, thieves gonna steal, all that stuff. Other things that are happening this week and every week. Working with podcasts right now, and my biggest job is editing. So I'm spending a lot of time editing podcasts and as well building them. It's almost like everything sort of come together to we're launching a bunch of podcasts right now. We're pretty excited about it. Been trying to actually do some really high script, high in-depth stuff. It's, I think this is one of the things I love about, I don't love about it, but I found out about podcasts is you can spend 16 hours working on a podcast and come up with 16 minutes. Or you could just record and talk to somebody in 90 minutes and put it up a podcast in 90 minutes. So it depends how much audio and sound design and everything else that goes into the show. If you want to make it sound like a movie, it's going to take a long time to make. And it's enjoyable. But again, I remember working, I think earlier this week, I worked for about 12 hours on a project and came out with about 12 minutes. Okay. Yeah. And that's right. The script with the deep fake for audio. All right. Kind of planet we're living on these days. We got a pandemic going on. There's a U.S. election, which I think is quite interesting. I think people are saying, oh, people were divided. People were always divided. Even if there wasn't it's just that there's more at stake with the issues now. So it seems like we're more divided than ever before. But for those of you voting in the U.S., vote smart, vote well, but be sure to vote. I think the turnout was a little low last time. Hopefully it's a little bit better this time. Nobody has asked me anything about the Buffalo Bills, which is fine. What kind of year? I don't know what kind of year they're going to have. They're supposed to win the division. 10 wins would be nice. It always is. 10 wins is always nice for the Buffalo Bills. All those years of 8-8, 7-9, 6-10, 3-13, whatever. And Tom Brady's not in the division anymore. How wonderful is that? That's awesome. 8:30 Central, 9:30 in the East. For those of you who care on a Sunday morning. What else is going on? You can ask me anything. I've always wanted to do an Ask Me Anything. I just throw it out there. Could be podcast related. Could be. I want to thank everybody for the radio related stuff. Good morning to Warren Kopnick. The running game is definitely a concern for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. We've tried some stuff with Shady McCoy. You can't rely on Josh Allen too much because he's still young. I know you're year 3, or it might be 4 now. Either way, we can't. We do need some running. We're going to need some running game. That may be something we're going to have to draft, but I'm looking forward to Stephon Diggs. I should have a Stephon Diggs shirt. I have a Terrell Owens shirt on right now. I'm still, that's the living in the past. Yeah. And my hair was gone at the age of 21, 20 even. It was probably adding all that Sony music. It just made my hair fall out. Not really. Great to hear from you, Warren. So yeah, and Lorna knows that I go to a Packers game every year. That is not going to be happening this year. Not only that, Lorna, there's no essential travel to the United States. There's no non-essential travel to the United States. So they just turned me around. They might take me actually. Yeah, maybe I get across. I don't know if you get Packers tickets. Is that essential travel? There's no attendance anyway this year. I mean, to me, it would be a sort of. I mean, Avery loves the Packers, by the way. If you want to know, I'm talking about the Packers. So Avery's a big fan of the Packers, loves the Packers. I'm sure if Aaron Rodgers said, "Hey, do you want to like get married?" I'd be single, and that'd be the end of that. But anyhow, so no, there's none of that. And I traveled last week to Montreal, and that's enough travel for me. I don't want to say, listen, Air Canada did a great job. I got on the plane, I was masked up, had the shield on, uh, but it was irritating. It was sort of an irritating experience, and that's no fault of what they were doing. They were making it comfortable, but it's irritating. Covering myself in hand sanitizer and going. I'm not complaining. I was glad I got to do it, but there was an experience to it. That's going to be a no. Sorry. I really like you, but not in that kind of way. All right. Sheikah Rebecca, everybody. Sheikah Rebecca. Okay, it's a great question. Also, I wish I could turn the camera on everything I'm doing here. So there's two microphones in the studio. This is a Rode NT1. There's a Rode NT2 in the corner. I probably shouldn't got like an NT1, NT2 from the same thing. I should have probably diversified the microphones just a little bit better. There's a Soundcraft board here. It's got about 8 channels on it. If I did it over again, I'd get a Rodecaster Pro. Warren, if you get a chance, talk to the people at Stingray who have outfitted most of their staff with Rodecaster Pros. I think Stacey Thompson's got one. I think Stu Jeffries has one in his basement. They're loving it. I mean, it's amazing to think that a podcasting device like the Rodecaster Pro is now being used by radio people on, the at-home journey that they're on. It's a $700, $800 Canadian investment to make. And I don't need to tell you about it because you're just saying you got a Rodecaster Pro and the SM. This is a great combination, by the way, for what you're doing. I haven't heard any of your audio, Warren. So whatever you're doing, send it along. And I still think what you should be doing, Warren, or any record company, is you should be promoting your records on my podcast, the Sound Off Podcast. That's it. You got all the ears of all music directors and program directors. You can actually stick the song in their ear and then make them at it. I mean, it saves you a trip down to the radio station. I'm throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there. That's another thing Warren has brought up about, meetings and so Zoom, you get on with Zoom, and this happened, I think, for one of the holidays. It was Easter or Passover, where I set the microphone up in the middle of the table and it went around. I think, the microphone was clear, so you could hear, people reading, or you could hear, actually at one point, somebody was eating too early before the prayers were done. Get a microphone. If you're going to be on Zoom a couple times a day, a microphone changes the sound quality and everything out there. It's just, get a, gosh, I wish I brought my microphones here today. I don't have any little ones kicking about. There's so many good ones you can get. Listen, first of all, good luck getting, if you want like those podcast microphones, by the way, this is a good microphone. Sorry about that. The Rodecaster and the SM7B is a great microphone, by the way. And yes, adjust your Zoom settings. Microphone. You can go into the back end of Zoom and make some changes. I don't recommend Zoom for recording podcasts. It's not the best way, but your guest is going to understand it. So go ahead and use the Zoom. Change the settings in the back end. You can actually separate it into 2 files. You can remove the compression and then put your own compression on afterwards. So there's many different ways, you can handle that. Yes, I'm down on Zoom for recording it. However, your guest is going to now know it because everybody's on Zoom. So it's a great way to engage them. I find one of the hardest things when I bring a podcast guest on is, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Skype? Are we going to do it? We can do the telephone. I got a little device here to bring the telephone on. there's, many ways. Maybe we're going to do it in person. If we do a podcast in person, we'll pull up this little, this is a Zoom microphone here. It's a Zoom H5, this one. This stuff is gold. Great for recording artist interviews and whatnot. Okay. I hope I covered everything with that, with the Zoom. Did I get to everything? Yeah, just the Zoom settings. Buy a microphone if you're doing Zoom all day. Yeah, you love the Snowball and the Yeti Blues. I'm not a fan. It's like my favorite pen. I got my microphone favorite pen. A lot of people are fans of those microphones. Whatever microphone you buy, it's try before you buy if you can. I recommend Long and McQuaid. Go down. You can rent a microphone first and then try it, and then you can buy it. And you'll land on either side. Okay, so a couple questions here. By the way, this one comes from Warren. What program are you using? I think you mean the program right now that I'm using here to stream this, because Ryan Recker, good morning, St. Louis. Ryan Recker, everybody, overnight America, KMOX. What are we using now to live stream this? The answer is StreamYard. StreamYard. So this is my pandemic experience. I was using I had the podcast, I was doing podcast, and then, you sent home in a pandemic, and everybody's doing something new, something different, something. I said, well, what's my pandemic strategy going to be? So I said, and by the way, Ryan, I've actually, in my mind, want to bring you on here. We can come on. I can bring you on as a guest, and at some point we'll do the chat from your basement. But I know you're busy with another baby, which came along. It's probably not a baby anymore. It's been weeks now, so it's kind of like, we're growing up now. We're approaching toddler at some point. So Ryan, I do want to bring you on at some point. We'll have the conversation, and I'll probably move it from our live stream, and then we'll throw it straight into a podcast. I've done that once so far. So this is my pandemic experiment with everybody sort of coming home. I started to stream a little bit more. I've always been like, I don't want to be on YouTube. I don't want to be on Facebook. Well, I'm here and not only that, I'm on with a Buffalo Bills shirt on. And by the way, Warren, thank you for saying that it sounds really good. So studio's working. Some acoustic treatment does help. I don't have a ton, but I do have a bunch, but it helps for whatever studio that you're in. So Lorna, by the way, I mentioned Lorna's in Maine. She's close to the New Brunswick border. Lots of Canadian friends can't come to where she is, and she's teaching at a school, and can't come. So yeah, let's hope we get these borders open. I like to say sooner, but it's just going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of cooperation and to figure it out. I think between Canada and the US, we got to get at least on a similar plan between the two countries, and I don't think we're there yet, but time will tell. ATR 2500. Yeah, I don't know the price of that one. I'll have to check to see what the price of that one is. Do they still make that? ATR 2100 is now discontinued. It's a 2100X. 169 Canadian, I think was the number. And you also had another question that I wanted to also address here about you wanted to listen to the Nigeria episode that I did for the Sound Off podcast. I've never been to Nigeria. I have it on my list. I do want to try to make some jollofi rice. I think that's the big throwdown in Nigeria. I love the football team. I thought they underperformed at the World Cup. Nigeria is the number 4 or number 5 country for downloads for podcasts for the Sound Off podcast, which surprised me at first, because you figure it's going to be like Australia or New Zealand. Nope, Nigeria. So I could tell the passion for radio is very, very high in Nigeria. I got into a taxi, and there was Burner Boy playing on the radio. I'm like, yeah, you're Nigerian, aren't you? I know Burner Boy. Ryan, I've been experimenting with slobs, and I really liked it so far. It's great. You're doing a solo show and a lot of nice features for free. I'm going to check that out. It's amazing what and then what you don't know. I will say that I'm probably a little bit more invested in this because I paid $350 Canadian for it. I think $2.99 US. And I'm out on 3 streams. This originally was just 2 streams, and then it became 3 streams, which was very nice of the good people at StreamYard to increase that. So we're on Facebook right now. We are streaming to YouTube, and we're also streaming to Periscope, which is kind of Twitter. Zencaster. I was on Zencaster for one podcast, which I should promote a little bit more. It wasn't my podcast. It was someone else's. I liked it, but I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for somebody who just, to use it the first time. There's an ease of use thing. There are some things I just won't use because they're just not easy enough. And it may not be about me. It may be about the guest. And I think you have to make things really easy for a guest if you want them on your podcast. Again, we're, by the way, my name is Matt Kundle. This is just a little Ask Me Anything that I thought I'd do on a Sunday morning because I woke up early because I was just so excited for Buffalo Bills football. So I still want to revisit, by the way, Warren Kopnick. I am shilling myself. But I'm glad you're doing the coffees on the patios and whatnot, and keep the Sony priorities coming. Warren, by the way, works at Sony Music and has for many years, and God love him and Anthony Ferrato and all the work that they do to get the music out there for radio stations to play and promote. And I miss concerts more than anything. I'm very picky about the concerts I go to, but I had an episode with Alan Cross, which you should listen to on the Sound Off podcast. Alan really summed up about, where it's going. He doesn't think the podcasts are going to be coming back or he doesn't think he doesn't think concerts are going to be coming back until 2022 in a realistic sort of sense. So, I'm worried about companies like Live Nation but really especially the smaller companies, the smaller promoting companies, just like, what do you do? What do you do? I have no interest in starting an online station. That's a bin I'm not taking from. That is John Milkey. That is the milkman's job. Blasttheradio.com. I will let him take care of that aspect of the whole thing. I'm really about the spoken word. I think my career was probably going to wind up and evolve into talk radio anyway at some point. And I have, working at, I programmed CJOB for 1 year in Winnipeg. At some point it was going to evolve in that direction. I found a lot of the spoken word found its way into podcast. And, I just, once I went to a podcast conference, I was just hooked on what was going on. People with microphones creating audio and then distributing it around the planet. And I said, I know how to do audio. That's what I've done for many years, but I don't know where the goal is on all this, but when I find the net, I'll take a shot and score, hopefully. So it's fascinating stuff. An online radio station. I don't know about streaming, and music. I don't consume my music that way. I'm consuming my music now through Spotify, for better or worse. That seems to be, why I like, I've got 3 smart speakers. I like radio stations. I ask my devices to play said radio stations. I love that. I think it's the best. I've got 3 smart speakers set up in the house. Whatever room I'm in, give me this radio station. Give me this radio station. Give me this radio station. And then there was one company in the States that took their stations off tune-in, which means I couldn't get the station. I'm like, well, you're gone now. I can't listen to you. And yeah, Warren, yeah, you kicked the filing cabinet. The infamous story of the record rep who kicked the filing cabinet when I said I wasn't playing the record. There are so many stories out there, and one of these days I'm going to I got to put them all in a podcast. I am going to have more record reps on my podcast in 2021. More record reps, because there are so many stories out there that involve radio. And I don't want to say who I want to have on the podcast. The Sound Off podcast coming up in the new in the next little while, because there are some there's going to be some interesting, well-known people we're going to bring on the show just to talk about radio. And by the way, here's what some bands are doing. I know Guns N' Roses is doing this, but Lorna points out that Kiss, the concert, let's put the tickets on sale, keep the money in the bank, get some interest for that, and Kiss is going to be doing just fine. Kiss, Bangor, nice. Great radio, by the way, down in Bangor. WTOS, I think it's 105.1. TOS stands for Top of Skowhegan. Is the station still going? Yeah, likely it's still going. I love that station. I remember I could pick it up in Coolbrook, New Hampshire, and ride it right through the mountains to just a little bit north of Portland, Maine, and then I'd lose it right around Portland, and then I'd head south after that. So I wouldn't be able to catch it much beyond there. Suggestion from Warren Kopnick. Listen to Radio Caroline. It's great. And WLIR. Have you watched the documentary on WLIR Long Island? I have watched so much stuff through the pandemic. I'm going to go and I can't even give you an answer if I've watched it or not. I want to say yes. Do you find yourself watching things 2 and 3 times because you can't remember that you watched it the first time? That is life in the pandemic with Netflix and on demand. Yeah. Mark that down, everybody. So things to listen to. Radio Caroline from Warren Kopnick. Okay, so I've been doing this now for a half hour. That's not bad. Am I going to make this a regular Sunday morning tradition? Likely not, because the minute that my 14 days of you shouldn't hang around people ends, which is going to be soon, I'll be using this time to go back to yoga, which would be quite healthy. All right. Okay. Here's what you need to do. Sound Off Podcast. There are 2,500 to 3,000 people downloads per month getting into people's ears. I do have room for an advertiser in there. So if you want to get your message out to a radio audience, this is a great way to do it. We've got mid-roll available, the Sound Off Podcast. Why am I wearing the embarrassing jersey? My brother says, my brother Henry is just so late. I'm trying to wrap up the show. I've already explained about the shirt and the Bills. And anyway, do not get betting tips from my brother Henry. Mid-roll available on the Sound Off Podcast for anybody who's interested. Other things that are coming up this week. Got a new episode. I've got a new episode coming out. Paul Kay from Rogers is going to be coming on the podcast. And we're going to talk a lot about talent. We're going to talk a lot about what it takes to get recognized by a company like Rogers or anyone else in radio to get on the radio. So that's exciting. Got some incredible voice talent that's going to be joining us on the podcast. And hopefully all the other invitations that I sent out, that they get returned and people book themselves on the show. All I can say is go Bills. Have a great Sunday. We're going to do this Ask Me Anything again sometime. That's it. Thank you very much for watching this today, and we'll see you again soon for more Ask Me Anything.